Shooting video here with you guys about kind of essential mods for a Glock. This particular one's a Glock 19. This is the older Gen 3. This is definitely available for you guys in California. This is an on-roster gun, so it can be had in California. I want to do some shooting here. It's 15 yards from this red line, so we're about 1.5 feet in front of it, so we're going to call it 14.5. I'm going to just do some shooting here, and like I said, I'm not, for the full disclaimer, I'm not a bullseye shooter, more of a combat style shooter, so we're not going to see dime-sized groups down there, but hopefully we can get some combat effective hits on target at this range, and then we're going to go look at the target, and then we're going to break this pistol down, and I'll show you what I would consider essential mods that you can do to your Glock. So we're going to go ahead and do some shooting. I'm going to fire two magazines of 10 at that target, and then like I said, we'll go from there. So what you want to do is watch what the gun does under recoil. So if you have good recoil management, good grip, you'll see that the gun doesn't move a whole lot, and that's what you want when you're shooting your firearm. If this gun's really walking around, you need to really work on your grip. So let's see what we can do here at 14.5. Okay, that was 20 rounds. So we'll go ahead and go down and we'll look at the target, and we'll see what kind of results we had at 14.5. Okay guys, this is the results from 14.5. If you've ever taken a front sight class, this will look really familiar to you. This is basically the shoot zone at front sight they use. Anything outside this, your down points are considered not so much a miss, but you're down your time. So as you can see, we got really good combat effective hits at 14.5 yards using a Glock 19, and that was just blazer aluminum ammunition. So it's just basic, really cheap, inexpensive ammunition, nothing fancy. But you can see we got basically good combat effective hits. The series I fired them in was fairly fast. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't a bullseye style shooting, because that's not the kind of shooting I do. So as you can see, hopefully you can agree that's definitely combat effective there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and give you a close-up of this gun. I'll show you what's in it and what I consider what you can do to your Glock 19 to kind of improve it. Okay guys, this is the Glock 19 we was out there shooting. As you see, it's verified empty. No mag in the gun. So what I would consider essential mods for your Glock 19. This one, like I said, is a Gen 3. You can see it's just the standard factory slide stop. And why I run the factory slide stop, there's a theme here. Anything I've ever done to a Glock, basically, has just made it less reliable. So I went with the original, the factory little extended slide release with the pyramid on it. That one, I would get malfunction. I'd get slide locks before the magazine was empty. And what would happen under recoil, my thumb would bump that, lock the slide back. So I went back to the factory slide release. I then, on my IDPA gun, I had a Glock 34, I put a Zev spring kit in it. And it was basically the striker spring, the plunger spring, and the trigger spring. And at that point, the safety here, the drop safety, the trigger safety, wouldn't reset. It would basically stay in like that. So it was basically an unsafe condition, because at that point it mitigated the trigger safety, so I had to pull all that out. I basically tried other spring kits, kind of had the same results. So at the end of the day, basically what I learned is leave it alone. I mean, that's pretty much the lesson I learned the hard way by spending money on parts, is you can't do anything to a Glock to make it more reliable. If you see a lot of these guys with full house customs, Zev guns and stuff like that, I've seen them in competition and I've seen them malfunction. Not all of them, and it's not to say that they don't run. It's just you're getting on that ragged edge of reliability in and the only advantage you're getting is maybe a little better trigger pull. So you've seen what I shot with this. This is actually a Vickers mag release on a Gen 3. The Gen 3s are a little shallow. This Vickers comes out just a little more, and it's basically, you know, fits like a factory part. It's nothing extraordinary, but I did put a Vickers on this Gen 3. And like I said, as you can see, it does protrude just a little more, and it helps on a mag change on a Gen 3. Another thing I did is, the main thing I would say that needs to be changed on a Glock is sights. Whether you want night sights, I prefer a night sight on a carry gun. These are just Ameriglow Hackathorns. These are fairly inexpensive sights. I prefer a blacked out rear. I like the fronts because they're kind of like a Trijicon HD without the sharp edges. If you've ever carried a set of Trijicon HDs, you'll know how sharp those rear sights can be. They'll cut your undershirt and all kinds of stuff. So like I said, these are a low-cost alternative. They still have the tritium, they still have the painted front sight, and they have the blacked out rear. So these are a really high-quality steel set of sights with a tritium insert. Great set of sights for the money. I'm going to tear it down here. I'm going to show you as far as the connectors go. If you've seen what kind of group we printed at 14.5, you'll see this is all stock internals, except that looks a little weird, and you may be wondering what that is because there's no coil spring there. That's a New York 1 connector. So a New York 1 puts this about 8 pounds. Actually, I want to say it's closer to 9. So it's a 9-pound trigger pull on this particular gun. So that goes to show you at basically 14.5 yards, you can still print a good group with a 9-pound trigger pull in a gun. If you know, if you got a good trigger squeeze, if all your fundamentals are there, there's no need for, a $150, $200 plus trigger mechanism that I see, these guys putting in them. I mean, if you got the money, great. If you're doing a competition and you feel it's going to shave you some time off, great. I do see the point in that. But as far as a carry gun, there's just absolutely no need that I see. My own opinion. You may differ on that, but I don't see a need to go spend a ton of money on trying to get a good trigger pull on a defense gun that basically all you're really doing is kind of shaving that fine line between advantage and reliability. So there's no need to do anything to a gun that's gonna, maybe cost you some reliability. So I just wanted to show you that, guys. My essential mods for a Glock would be sights. After that, I would say pretty much leave it alone. They're good out of the box. I'm not particularly a Glock fanboy, but I've got so much time and so many rounds to these guns, I trust them. They work good, they fit good, I'm used to shooting them, they fit me. There is other great options out there. Glock is not the only one, but a Glock 19 is hard not to recommend to someone as a new shooter. I feel it does everything well. There may be a gun that does one particular thing better, but nothing combines it as far as capacity, trigger pull, reset, all that kind of stuff, reliability, into one package for the money, as a Glock 19. So, when new shooters come to me and ask, what kind of gun should I get, it's hard not to recommend a Glock 19. It's good enough for home defense. It's good. It's small enough to conceal carry. It's big enough to have fun at the range. So, anyways, guys, I hope you learned something on that. Like I said, it's possible. No matter what the internet tells you, it's possible to shoot these guns good in a defensive situation without spending $500 worth of internals to, or sending it off to Agency Arms or something like that and having a $2,000 rework done on the thing. The thing will work right out of the box, no problem. Get rid of the cheap plastic sights. Other than that, like as far as the defensive gun goes, get you something steel. It's preference as far as what sights you want to run. That's all personal preference. But definitely good to go, guys. At 9 pounds, these things will shoot 14.5 yards, no problem, if you can shoot it. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks.